From Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, 18 presidential candidates sign peace accord ahead of 2023 elections. Bandits killed customs officer at checkpoint in Katsina. Dollar hits 735 naira as political campaign begins. Away from Nigeria, UN tribunal puts Rwanda's Felicien Kabuga on genocide trial. Hello and welcome to the News Hour on Trust Television. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for joining. And now the details, beginning with political matters. 18 political parties and their presidential candidates have signed the first National Peace Accord ahead of the 2023 general elections. This means that the political actors have agreed to make the campaigns issue-based. The 2023 first signing of the Peace Accord was organized by the National Peace Committee, headed by former military head of state Abdulsalami Abubakar and Bishop Matthew Kuka at the International Conference Center in Abuja. Nana Mohammed was there and now report.
The signing of the Peace Accord was to commit all political parties, their candidates and spokespersons to peaceful campaigns and rallies.
Campaigns and rallies devoid of violence, incitement and personal insult, but also to define by issues at the very heart of the national development and progress. The second accord, God willing, will come up shortly before the elections, and it is intended to commit the candidates to accepting the outcome of the votes as long as it is adjudged to be free, fair, and credible.
The head of delegation of the European Union in a goodwill message said, Nigeria's election is important not only for the country, but for the world at large.
Nigeria has an opportunity to lead, to contribute to reversing the trend of undemocratic change of power.
The chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, highlighted the need to not only sign the peace accord, but to abide by it.
The 2023 general election will be conducted for 1,491 constituencies nationwide, made up of 1 presidential constituency, 28 governorship elections. In 8 states, the governorship elections are conducted off-cycle, like the last 2 elections conducted in Ekiti and Osun. We have 109 senatorial districts, 360 federal constituencies, and 993 state constituencies.
The Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, cautioned politicians against violating the Electoral Act, maintaining that the law enforcement agencies are ready to provide a level playing ground for all political parties as well as prosecute any offender.
Forgery of electoral documents, disorderly conduct, propagating of falsehood, unlawful possession of firearms and offensive items, impersonation of voters' threats, bribery and inducement of electorates, among others. In relation to
As the campaigns began, expectations are high that Nigerians will elect credible leaders that will address the myriad of problems confronting the country. This prayer from a 14-year-old student to the next Nigerian president captures the mood.
Many people are afraid of the future. We are afraid. I see that over 20 million of my brothers and sisters are currently out of school. If the children believe that our environment has been destroyed in trying to satisfy the greed of different generations of Nigerians.
The National Peace Committee is a non-governmental initiative conceived in 2014 in response to emerging threats by the 2015 general elections. The second signing of the Peace Accord is expected in January 2023. Nana Muhammad, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari says the signing of the peace accord with former President Goodluck Jonathan and other presidential candidates in the build-up to the 2015 elections contributed largely to the peaceful outcome of the polls. The president met with members of the National Peace Committee, led by former head of state General Abdulsalami Abubakar, on Thursday at the State House in Abuja after signing of the first National Peace Accord by presidential candidates in the 2023 elections. The president expressed hope that ratifying the accord will commit political parties, aspirants and their supporters to peaceful conduct of their campaigns, devoid of ethnic, religious and hate speeches that could mar the upcoming elections. General Abubakar, retired, who briefed the president on the activities of the committee, said that members had met with various stakeholders, including the Independent National Electoral Commission and the heads of security agencies, who had given assurances of their preparedness to conduct the polls creditably.
You are all aware that credible, free and fair election can only be achieved in a peaceful environment. The signing of the Electoral Act 2021, as amended, with landmark provisions underline my resolve for transparent and all-inclusive electoral processes. It is my expectation that all the signatories to the peace accord and their supporters will abide by its content and spirit. Unfortunately, nothing much can be done except educating our people. Is the issue of vote buying. It's a menace, not only in Nigeria, in most of the developing countries, you can see where vote buying is becoming rampant. So as much as possible, we and the NGOs are trying to tell people, yes, if somebody is giving you money, take the money, but vote by your conscience. Don't sell your vote.
In the meantime, the National Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Felix Moka, on Thursday distanced the party from a letter accusing the APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu of breaching the agreement regarding the constitution of campaign council members. Earlier on Thursday, a purported letter had leaked wherein the APC national chairman, Abdullahi Adamu, accused Tinubu of appointing members of the party's presidential campaign council without the approval of the National Working Committee. Adamu demanded the immediate withdrawal of the presidential campaign council list, warning that any sign of disarray in the party's ranks will undermine the spirit of the campaign and give an undue alarm to party followers across the country. But the APC spokesman in a statement said that the letter did not emanate from Adamu, adding that the party will not be distracted by those he described as detractors. The Supreme Court on Thursday upholds the election of Senator Ademola Adeleke as the authentic candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) for the gubernatorial election that was held in the state on July 16. The Apex Court, in a unanimous judgment by a 5-man panel of justices, dismissed an appeal that was lodged against Adeleke by Prince Dotu Babayemi, who laid claim to governorship ticket of the PDP, having emerged from a parallel primary election that was held by a faction of the party in the state. Counsel to the appellant, Adebayo Adelodun, SAN, withdrew the appeal after the panel led by Justice Amina Augi withdrew his attention to the fact that the case was statute barred. The panel had maintained that the appeal was incompetent, stressing that it was filed outside the 14 days period provided for by the law. Still on political matters, Senate President Ahmad Lawan has finally recognized Bashir Machina as the All Progressives Congress candidate for Yobe North Senatorial District election in 2023. In a statement which he personally signed, Lawan, who was first elected into the lowest chamber of the National Assembly in 1999, said he had accepted the judgment of the court. He said the judgment disqualified his candidature and therefore his participation in the elections. Lawan said that after due consultations with his political associates, supporters and well-wishers, he has decided not to appeal against the judgment. Lawan's road out of the National Assembly began when he contested the presidential primaries of the ruling party but lost to Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. Meanwhile, presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, was in Ibadan on Thursday, where he met behind closed doors with Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde. The meeting is in line with his nationwide consultations in pursuit of his presidential ambition. Briefing newsmen shortly after the session, which lasted about 45 minutes, the former Anambra State Governor once again restated his commitment towards addressing all the challenges which had over the years plagued the Nigerian masses. Mr. Obi gave assurances that he was committed, prepared and determined to reposition Nigeria on the path to socio-economic recovery and growth.
Remember it in prayers that we have peaceful, free and fair election, fair competition and everything. For the obedient groups, remain peaceful. We want a campaign-based, issue-based election. We want an issue-based election where people will come, candidates, not through spokesperson, not through via anybody, but let the candidates come and show their commitment. As I'm talking to you now, you're putting it on tape, and I've said to Nigerians, trust me, I will start from day one to start showing visible, measurable progress, and I'll be held responsible. We don't want somebody to come and tell us about complain. The job of leader is not to complain or to blame anybody. I don't want to blame anybody for what happened yesterday. We are at the point of hiring a new CEO for the enterprise called Nigeria, and I'm offering myself. And I said, I don't want to blame anybody. I don't want to give excuses. My duty is to solve problems. That's the duty of leader. My duty is to show visible, measurable progress. That's what Nigeria wants now. Not somebody who come and say, oh, what we saw when we entered, or what that man did yesterday. If the man was doing well, we won't hire you. We are hiring you because it's bad. That's what we want now. So among the 18 of us, who do you trust? It's not a question of trust. Our manifestos and all we are saying will be the same thing. Some will even speak better Queen's English than me. But who do we trust that if we allow him to be there, he will do this? That's why I said it will be based on character, competence, commitment, and everything. And I assure you, I'm prepared for this job. The job requires physical and mental energy. I've just come from Abuja this morning. I'm running back to Abuja, and I'm committed to it. And I want Nigerians to hold me responsible.
Staying with political matters now, following the commencement of electioneering campaigns ahead of the 2023 elections, stakeholders are calling on political parties and their candidates to focus on issues affecting citizens. The Center for Transparency Advocacy made the call while addressing journalists in Abuja. Trust TV's Sagir Ibrahim was there.
The executive director of the center, Faith Nwadishi, during the briefing called on politicians to adhere to the guidelines set by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, while also charging citizens to document campaign promises made by the candidates so as to hold them to account.
As we move into the campaign period, we expect that the political atmosphere will be charged. It is imperative, therefore, that political parties make their campaigns issue-based and convince Nigerians to vote for their candidates based on sound proposals of alternative solutions to the issues that are utmost concern to Nigerians. The Center for Transparency Advocacy urges political parties, candidates, and their supporters to operate within the confines of the law and the provisions of the Independent National Electoral Commission's rules and regulations. CTA will be tracking election promises and will be giving an update periodically in the same vein We urge citizens and the media to monitor and track campaign promises made by political officers so as to hold them accountable.
She also challenged politicians to put their money where their mouth is by swearing an affidavit to make their campaign promises a legally binding document.
If, for instance, you have come to my village and part of the promises you have put is that you have put, say, the road, I'm going to do this road in my first 100 days of office. And first 100 days of office, I will do you a letter and say, okay, this is what you saw an affidavit that you are going to do. What has happened? What have you not done? And I will take you to court. Because one, you have breached a contract. It was based on that thing that you signed and took to court that gave, I now said, okay, I can give you my vote. Every political party that puts out a manifesto or puts out campaign promises should go to court. When you go to court and sign an affidavit, then I can take you seriously. And I tell you, any political party that does that, go to court, sign an affidavit, I will vote for that political party.
The group, however, charged citizens, political parties, and relevant stakeholders to shun activities capable of inciting the public and causing a breakdown of law and order. Sagir Ibrahim reporting for Trust TV.
In a similar vein, politicians in Kwara State have been warned to embark on peaceful campaigns that are devoid of forms of rancor and acrimony. The new Kwara State Commissioner of Police, Paul Odama, while briefing journalists, assured that a peace accord and undertaking will soon be signed by political parties to avoid crisis during the campaign. He threatened that those who break the agreement will be sanctioned.
Kwara Police, Nigeria Police, is for all political parties. It is the duty of the police to create a level playing ground for all political parties. I repeat, all political parties. That we are going to do, and we have started, so that we can have peace accord. We will make all political parties to write an undertaking of their conduct in this election. We, on our part in the security, we are going to gather information. We are working on intelligence. We will synergize together and we will share information among ourselves.
And now on to security matters. A customs officer has been killed at a checkpoint a few meters away from 35 Battalion of the Nigerian Army, Natsinta Barrack on Katsina Jibia Road. The terrorists launched their attack on the joint operatives early Thursday morning. Several other operatives were wounded following a gun battle with the terrorists. Customs Service spokesman in Katsina, Balarabe Tahir, confirmed the incident to Trust TV's Abdullahi Ahmadi. The terrorists also struck at Kukaratoro, a farming community in Batari local government area of Katsina State, killing 2 people. A source says that about 17 people, including women and children, were abducted as unspecified number of motorcycles were carted away. Gunmen on Wednesday night invaded Wusasa area in Zaria, killing 1 person and abducted 3 others. The village head of Wusasa, Isiaku Yusuf, said that the bandits came in number and attacked the residence of Dr. Oderinde, resident of Wusasa Central area. He gave the name of the person they killed as Oluwakemi Oluwatosing and those abducted as Douglas Silas, Treasure Johanna Victor, and the son of the landlord, Precious Oderinde. The village head said that he alerted the police and members of the vigilante group who arrived at the scene after the bandits had gone. And there is palpable tension in Agu-Ikwebe in Igbo Etiti local government area of Enugu State following the invasion and destruction of farms worth more than 50 million naira by herders while grazing their cattle. The owner of the farm, John Aboyi, lamented that Fulani herders have resorted to grazing their cattle on his farm. He regretted that all efforts to stop them from entering his farm hit the rock as Nigeria police refused to come to their rescue even when one of the herders was arrested. Briefing journalists who visited the over 3 hectares of farmlands devastated by herders said that They invaded the maize and beans farm a few days after he applied fertilizer on the crops. You're watching the News Hour on Trust Television. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at how rabies killed 3 people in Adamawa. Details of this and more after the break.
To every politician, as the campaigns gain momentum and passions begin to rise, remember, the errors of your opponents do not make you a success. Do not run down your opponent and inflame passions to violence between and among your supporters. What counts is what you plan to do for the electorate and how you intend to relieve the sufferings and bring succor. Nigeria is in dire need of patriotic leaders at all levels. Leaders who will make national development their priority. Concentrate on telling the electorate what you intend to do when you get into office. Focus on making your vision clear to the electorate. Don't engage in verbal abuses, fake news or speeches. Keep dealing with issues that will bring progress. You win the hearts and minds of the people by being above board, by being civil, patriotic, and showing empathy. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. A message from the National Orientation Agency.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. This is the News Hour on Trust Television. Here is a recap of our top stories again. 18 presidential candidates signed peace accord ahead of 2023 election. Bandits kill customs officer at a checkpoint in Katsina State. Moving on, the Zamfara State Commissioner of Police, Kolo Yusuf, has expressed readiness to work with management team and area commanders to stem the tide of banditry, kidnapping and other related crimes in the state. A statement by the command's public relations officer, Mohammed Shehu, said the CP made the commitment while interacting with members of the management team, area commanders, divisional police officers, tactical commanders and other officers and men on preparations for a peaceful conduct of political activities for the 2023 election. The CP tasked officers to ensure that all quasi-security outfits established by various state governments and local communities under different nomenclatures are banned from partaking in any election campaigns. This, he said, is in line with the directive of the Inspector General of Police, who said that local security outfits have no legal roles under the new Electoral Act. Nigerians have been called upon to elect credible leaders that will turn the fortunes of the country around. The call is part of expectations from Nigerians as they look forward to the nation's 62nd independence anniversary. Kabir Lawal reports.
Nigeria, a country with diverse ethnic groups, gained independence from Britain in 1960. Since then, it has passed through military regimes after attempts at establishing a republic were thwarted time and time again. Democracy was finally restored with the establishment of the Fourth Republic, which has been Nigeria's witness as unbroken 24-year era of democracy. As the nation counts down to another independence anniversary, it is a mixed bag of feelings for many, especially with the present economic challenges.
Serious and people of good heart for Nigeria, those who have Nigeria at heart, those who want to salvage Nigeria. These are the kind of people, if we are able to vote them in, I think we will no longer be suffering Nigerians.
Well, I can say previously we are doing well, but for now, I must say, and truthfully, without missing word, our economy has taken a backstage. The loophole purely is that probably we don't have monitoring institutions, or our institution has not been strengthened so that they can be holding our government officials and our civil servants and our politicians accountable.
Proud to today, many believed that the country fared better in yesteryears, especially in the areas like the economy, security, and provision of social amenities. To them, Nigeria as presently constituted is working for a few Nigeria, but how true is that assertion?
If you look at what constitutes nation building and economic development, there are majorly three things: human capital, innovations, and intellectual property. And these three key things have not been tapped in Nigeria.
We're not doing well because we have every reason to do well, but we need managers of the economy to make it work. If we have poor managers, just like any company, if you have a poor management, it will die. That's what's happening to our economy. Our managers of the economy are not good, and it's showing on the inflation rates that we're seeing on a daily basis.
It's very, very unfortunate. For me, Nigeria is as old as 62 years without electricity, 62 years without security, 62 years without cohesion, understanding, and unity. It's very, very unfortunate.
People's concern is that credible political actors be given the opportunity to contribute their quota to the upliftment of democracy at the leadership level, especially as the 2023 elections draw nearer. Kabir Lawal, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, some Nigerians say aerial show involving military paratroopers descending down as part of preparations for the independence celebration at the Federal Secretariat complex in Abuja is worrisome. They said accident can easily occur if any of the paratroopers falls on a moving vehicle or electric pole.
It was scary, but later I got used to it, and it was announced prior to yesterday, so the public awareness was there.
But do you think it is right to do something like that in this kind of environment that is chalked and what?
This is Nigeria. What we see, we take, we get. Thank you.
And our armies and the police are doing great. They do a great job because sometimes they will use this parachute inside metropolis, not in the bush. So they're supposed to do the training, get the training inside town. Not always in the bush.
It is risky now looking at it.
It is risky, but it is considerable.
Okay, so but what do you feel when you watch them do it?
No, I can't say anything because At least what I would say, they are trying. They really trying. Sorry, lastly, there was this exercise by the Nigerian forces, the parachute. I don't know if you watched it.
I had a few, but I didn't watch it.
Okay, what do you think about it? Some say it is risky doing such a training within this kind of facility.
I think it's okay. People should not get bothered about that because these experts, they know that they are within the area that are populated by people, so they won't try to make some mistakes. They're experts. People should not be afraid. They should not be scared.
Now, manipulation of ethnicity and religion as well as class has been described as a major setback in the Nigerian political arena. Jimmy Azande, who spoke to a cross-section of Benue residents, reports that identity politics has crippled the growth and development of the nation.
Nigerians are struggling to explore their unity in diversity despite over 60 years of liberation from the British colonial masters. Some residents said politics of ethnicity and religion are among the major factors crippling the polity.
People who fought for the independence of this country didn't bother whether they were Christians, whether they were Muslims, whether they were Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba. It was a combination of everybody. We had national leaders from everywhere coming together. At that point, we were seen as Nigerians. It didn't have anything to do with our localities.
Said for Nigeria to have meaningful development, the issues of profiling and class discrimination must be addressed. Otherwise, the country will continue to suffer insecurity and underdevelopment.
So it's when we begin to expand our differences that the gaps begin to widen more. And as it's widening, those that are yet to born are born into it. So it's going further because it takes a bad thing to spread faster than a good one.
Everybody wants to gain, and everybody wants to make sure that the fight amongst religious backgrounds, ethnicity continues so that this country does not move forward. But I keep telling our people, unless we are ready to stand firm and tell ourselves enough is enough, I honestly believe that we are still one, we are one big nation, and we will move together.
Nigeria's journey as an independent country began on October 1st, 1960.
If we were nationalists and everybody felt carried along in this country, it won't matter where you are from, it will be about your antecedents, your pedigree. But right now, people are bothered about where you come from, because if during your time it's all about your people, then let my own person go there.
So if we are able to see somebody one as a human being, created by God, and that person is created not by mistake, all these divisions, these barriers that are threatening our unity will disappear.
I believe if our fathers and our politicians are sincere to themselves, things will go much better when it comes to this issue of ethnicity, religious background, sects, and others. We're one big family. I knew when we started as childhood.
But as a country struggles to move forward, it is important for leaders to understand what it means to be truly independent.
Now, as the campaigns for the 2023 election kick off, the Plateau State Police Command has begun deployment of police officers to passive flashpoints in the state. The State Commissioner of Police, Bartholomew Onyeka, made this known on Wednesday during a stakeholders meeting in the state with heads of security agencies, political parties, and as well as Independent National Electoral Commission. Ado Musa completes the story.
According to the commissioner, one of the reasons for the engagement was to ensure that the upcoming general elections were peacefully conducted. It is also an avenue to provide stakeholders with a unique opportunity to dissect the current laws enforcement realities and engage an all-inclusive approach to re-evaluate security policing strategies.
As the countdown to the political campaigns draws near, the Plateau State Police Command has put in place robust security arrangements and measures to ensure that adequate security and safety for electionary campaigns and rallies throughout the state. The police command is poised to protect and safeguard all venues of campaigns and rallies, as well as other INEC-approved electionary activities, and all political parties throughout the state from now to the end of the campaign period for the 2023 general election.
He said all unofficial security formations, such as vigilantes, neighborhood watches, among others, should not in any way carry out security functions during the elections, as they do not have the legal mandate under the current INEC laws.
The Inspector General of Police, IGP Osman Akali Baba, PAC Dagat, NPM FDC, has equally echoed it loudly that during the electionary periods, all local security head groups, such as the Vigilantes, Hunters Association, Neighborhood Watch, or any other quasi-state organs, have no legal role to play in the electoral process and are therefore prohibited from taking part in any electoral process before, during, and as well as after the aforementioned political activities.
The representative of Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, Father Polycarp Lubo, at the event, assured the support of religious leaders toward hitch-free elections.
Speak to our people to know abiding, to play the rule by the game. To play the game by the rule. And I'm sure that's exactly what we'll be doing. Same thing like the man from the orientation agency. But you will have to caution here, sir.
It is, however, hoped that stakeholders will do their part in ensuring a smooth conduct of the election. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Absence of defense counsel in court has stalled the case challenging Zamfara state government over the alleged sale of more than 58 seized tractors by the State High Court to settle the debt of Duburum Nigeria Limited. The presiding judge, Justice Bello Shinkafi of the Zamfara State High Court II, had adjourned the case to 24th of October following the absence of the defense counsels. Justice Shinkafi said that the defense counsels had 2 days ago, through the lead counsel, Mohammed Suleiman, written to the court seeking adjournment of the case to enable them to appear at the Court of Appeal in Sokoto State. The State's Commissioner for Agriculture and Natural Resources says he was, however, in court in person as earlier ordered by the State High Court II.
The Commissioner for Agriculture was to show cause why government decided to sell the tractors that were seized in auction or seized by this court in execution, to sell them while the case was pending. Fortunately, today the Commissioner for Agriculture has been in court. So we were supposed to investigate today, further investigate the ownership of these tractors. You remember that on the last John Day 2014, the court went to the place outside the court where tractors were loaded into a truck that was bound for Sokoto. And the court ordered the detention of those tractors because they appear to be part of the seized goods. So that today we'll come back to court and the court will investigate to determine whether they are part of the goods that were seized by the court and being taken away. So it will not be proper for us to continue to talk about delay now. The ruling of the court that they should be heard on the 24th has overtaken that event, no matter how we feel about it. So for now, let's assume that they are excused from today's appearance. Let's see what the next development will be. Whatever is somebody's habit is his habit. If they are trying to avoid this case, 24th of October will surely come. It will surely come, one day at a time, to the 24th of October. So it will surely come.
A new report by the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAV, has revealed how communities in the Niger Delta area continue to live in depressing and deplorable conditions, even though the wealth derived from these areas is the economic mainstay of the country. According to the report, the communities in the Niger Delta remain the poorest in the country. The 82-page report launched in Lagos posits that lack of transparency and accountability is fueling human rights violations in the oil-rich region. The report, presented to the media by Dr. Olubumi Afinowi, Faculty of Law of the University of Lagos, discloses that the region remains deeply in the grips of squalor, poverty, and environmental degradation. The report, however, highlights how endemic corruption contributed to poverty and consequential suffering of many people in the Niger Delta.
Has been advocacy, if we've been talking and the issues are still on, that shows you that the problem is actually quite serious.
We are therefore calling on the government without any further delay to inaugurate the board of the Niger Delta. Secondly, the government must release a report of the forensic auditor so that projects that are abandoned can be taken up by the communities affected in the Niger Delta. Roads have been abandoned, schools have been abandoned, electricity projects have been abandoned. We want to know who has taken money, billions of naira.
SERAP did not do a report on oil theft in the Niger Delta. The research and the report that we have done, including this one, is on the socioeconomic rights of members of the oil-producing communities. And now lack of transparency and accountability have not allowed those funds released to these MDAs to impact on the lives of the people.
We see a lot of security around there, and yet oil is being stolen every day. It is only in Nigerian state that we don't know what we produce. Why? What are the agencies doing? Like I said, we look into government's eye and speak truth to government.
The federal government will continue to clamp down on illegal boat operators in the country waterways to check the rising incidents of boat mishaps on the country's waterways. Managing Director of the National Inland Waterways Authority, George Moghalu, revealed this on Thursday while briefing newsmen at the State House in Abuja. Kendi Amodu has more.
Government has opened over 3,800 waterways across the country, which means the traffic on the waters has increased significantly, and so have boat incidents. Boat mishaps could be attributed to mechanical and natural factors, such as turbulent weather and wreckages along water routes, but most often human factors are responsible for the incidents.
Somebody refuses to use the registered jetties and goes to a shoreline, parks his boat, convinces people to enter the boat without wearing life jacket, without being properly kitted, and enters the waterway and runs into trouble. It's human error. If the captain of the vessel is not properly trained, it's human error. If they use unserviceable boats, these are human error. If they are in drunken state, these are human error. So each of these activities have its own penalty.
To limit such incidents, penalties are often meted out on erring boat operators.
There are punishments. And we cannot relent because we are talking about people's lives. And that is why jetties, we register jetties. Jetties are registered. You don't just build a jetty. There's a presidential committee that approves jetty, that approves the license. So when you finish, that committee will come and inspect. If they are satisfied, they issue you a license for those private jetties, apart from the ones we are building ourselves and certifying.
The authority is also ensuring the regulation of inland navigation and is urging state governments to join hands with it to manage waste along waterways to avert issues of flooding.
Flooding usually takes place when the water route is silted. When the water route is silted, the only way you can remove that, because if it's silted, water will now keep expanding instead of following a channel. So the only way you can address that is to make sure you dredge open the channel, and the water will follow that channel and go. So we'll continue doing the dredging. We are doing maintenance dredging. One thing we must understand is that capital dredging is one expensive business.
The National Inland Waterways Authority has taken some big steps ever since George Moghalu assumed office as managing director. These include the acquisition of maintenance dredges, deepening of regular hydrographic surveys of waterways, and the development of a wrecks removal master plan. Also topping achievements is the concession of the Onitsha River Port as well as development of necessary infrastructure for the facility. From State House Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
Now, away from that, an expert in agriculture, Professor Ishaku Faguji, has predicted food shortage after this harvest season due to severe flood ravaging some parts of northern states. Faguji, who is also the Executive Director, Institute of Agricultural Research, IAR, Zaria, made the prediction while fielding questions from newsmen in his office. He observed that the flood was so significant this year that over 30% of agricultural investments in states such as Jigawa, Kogi, Kebbi, and some parts of Kano, Bauchi State will be lost.
Different news media and have seen how destructive this natural catastrophe has been to our agricultural activity this year especially. Even though almost every year you have incidences of flood, but this year happened to be extraordinary in recent years. And it is so significant that it is estimated that especially in those states like Jigawa, some parts of Kano, Bauchi State, Kogi, Kebbi State, and so on, close to 30% of agricultural investment is going to be lost in those places. And therefore, this will naturally translate into shortage in our annual harvest of grains and other agricultural products. Consequently, again, it will translate into shorter supply of food items to Nigerians. And we all know the relationship between supply and demand. If the demand supersedes the supply, which in this case, our own internal production of food items will be affected grossly.
The National Examinations Council has released the 2022 Senior Secondary School Certificate Examination results. NECO Registrar Anthony Ushishi announced the results on Thursday at the NECO headquarters in Minna, Niger State. Aside from the results, Ushishi said that the council blacklisted 29 supervisors for their alleged involvement in various malpractice offenses. He also said that 4 schools were recommended for derecognition for 2 years over consistent malpractices. Meanwhile, Ushishi revealed that the council recorded a decline in malpractice in the 2022 internal senior school certificate examinations as against other years. The need to support all initiatives of the National Population Commission to ensure accurate and reliable data of the 2023 national census has been emphasized. Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State stated this at the Nasarawa State Stakeholders Summit on the 2023 Population and Housing Census in Lafia. Abubakar Abdullahi has more.
The Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule at the Stakeholders Summit said considering the importance of the population census to the country, all stakeholders must be involved in the process to ensure it succeeds.
Let me at this juncture assure the National Population Commission of the support of Nasarawa State Government to ensure that the 2023 census is a success and will successfully be conducted for the benefit of the good people of Nasarawa State.
He explained that the results of the 2006 National Population Census pegged the state population at 1.8 million people, a number he says surprises residents of the state considering the influx of people to the state, especially around the Karu axis.
For us in Nasarawa State, the upcoming census is a welcome development, considering the allocated population figure of just 1.863 million people, consequent to the 2006 census. This is in spite of a large population within the Karu and Mararaba axis that can actually claim that number at the moment.
Governor Sule appreciated the efforts of the National Population Commission for organizing the Stakeholders Summit to create awareness on the population census, noting that sustainable development cannot be achieved without proper data planning.
We need to know where we're lacking. We need to know where to improve on. We're working towards having a digital exercise come 2023 census.
Earlier, the commissioner representing Nasarawa State at the National Population Commission, Silas Agara, told the stakeholders that the idea behind the summit is to create awareness among them and by extension to the grassroots.
To health matters now, 4 cases of rabies have been recorded in Adamawa, out of which 3 are dead, while 1 is receiving medical attention in Michika. Among the 3 victims confirmed dead, 2 were indigents of Gombe and 1 was from Hong local government area. Trust TV also recalled that last year, 1 person was reported dead from rabies in Jada local government area. Salis Lawan reports.
With the recent cases of rabies in 4 local government areas out of the 21, stakeholders say there are growing concern for authorities to spread awareness about the dangers of rabies and how it can be stopped in the communities. To curtail the spread of the disease, they charge dogs and cat owners to avail themselves the free vaccination opportunity which aim at eradicating rabies in their animals.
It's a very, very wonderful day for us in Adamawa State here, and I will call on the beneficiaries to cooperate with all our veterinary doctors in the state, in our various LGS, for us to achieve this World 2022 Rabies Day, so that we can be able to achieve, and all these zoonotic diseases, we make sure that we control it.
Stakeholders said the awareness seeks to educate the public about how rabies can be eradicated in people and domestic animals.
Is to bring awareness or to create awareness on the danger of rabies, and to bring the highlights of the development that is happening in regard to eliminating rabies in animals like was in the human.
The awareness and sensitization campaigns also brought together dogs owners, and they said the free vaccination will go a long way toward limiting dogs bite cases in the state.
It's very important, especially for a dog like this. It has a very serious challenge if it bites somebody. So it's easier for you to come and receive the vaccine, whatever time it takes you. Or, by the way, this one is free.
Cases of rabies these days is becoming so rampant. And people are keeping dogs in their houses. So I want to call on most of the dog owners to please use this opportunity.
Around the world, dogs are the most common animal infected by rabies, with more than 99% of human cases coming from dog bites. From Yola, Salis Lawan, Trust TV News.
Now, Katsina is one of the educationally advantaged states in northern Nigeria, owing its status to one of the premier institutions in the country, the Katsina Teachers Training College. Established in 1921 by the British government, the college was officially opened in 1922 by Sir Hugh Clifford, who was then the Governor General of Nigeria. And this, we'll take a look at this report much later. Now, moving on to business. The dollar hit 735 naira in the parallel market on Wednesday as political campaign activities began in the country. According to Bureau de Change operators in Lagos and Abuja, dollar price had increased from 718, 720 to 728 to 735 naira in the last 1 week. Speaking on major factors responsible for the rate hikes in the dollar to naira, the Vice President, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Gabriel Idahosa, said that the immediate cause of dollar rate increment was the new monetary policy rate of the Central Bank of Nigeria. According to Idahosa, the commencement of the elections also meant that a lot of funds had started pouring into campaign-related activities. For more on business updates, Chamung Dabeng has some packages.
Nigeria's crude oil exports reached a record 11.53 trillion naira in the first half of 2022, up by a whopping 88.5% over the 6.12 trillion naira exported during the same period in 2021, and up 39% over the 8.29 trillion naira exported during the second half of 2021. This is confirmed by data on Nigeria's foreign trade provided by the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS. The highest since the first half of 2019, Nigeria's crude oil shipments made up 79.5% of all exports during the review period. Nigeria exported goods worth 14.51 trillion naira between January and June 2022, an increase of 81.2% over the same period in 2021. The value of non-crude oil exports during the time was 2.98 trillion naira, an increase of 57.6% over the 1.89 trillion naira exported during the same period in 2021, and a 12.2% rise over the 2.98 trillion naira recorded in the second half of last year. Statistics from the oil and gas industry suggest that in less than 3 years, Nigeria's ability to increase its crude oil production decreased by 37%. According to information from the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, September 2022 monthly oil market report, the nation's oil rig count fell from 16 in August 2019 to 10 in August 2022. Nigeria had 16 rigs as of 2019, according to a breakdown of the factors that led to the decline. By 2020, it had dropped down to 11, and by the fourth quarter of 2021, it had fallen to 7. By the first quarter of 2022, it had reached 8, then increased to 10 by the second half, 11 in July, and fell to 8 again only last month. According to OPEC, the demand for its crude in 2023 would be 29.8 million barrels per day, which is nearly 0.9 million barrels per day more than what was observed in 2022, and would remain constant from the previous MOMR. Truckers, under the auspices of the Committee of Maritime Truck Unions and Association, COMTUA, says they plan to stage a non-violent demonstration against extortion between October 4th and 6th at the Nigerian Ports Authority. The national president of COMTUA, Adeyinka Aroyewu, revealed that the union's plan in a letter titled Notice of Intention to protest against military trucks taking over return of empty container and priority, and addressed to the managing director of NPA, Mohammed Bello Koko, Vice President Professor Yemi Oshibajo, Inspector General of Police Alkali Usman, and the Minister of Transportation Muazu Sambo, among others, received copies of the letter. According to Aroyewu, the action was necessary because the NPA did not respond to the concerns made in earlier letters. That's all for business news. I am Chamun Dabeng.
And away from Nigeria, a United Nations tribunal in The Hague has opened the genocide trial of a Rwandan businessman captured 2 years ago after decades on the run, with judges saying that the hearing must go on despite the suspect's decision to boycott it from his jail cell. And that's a wrap on Trust News Hour. You can watch more via all our social media platforms and watch us live on YouTube. I am Ayuba Ile. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.